Botaji, welcome back. It's Wednesday afternoon. I think it's about time I went out for my daily long walk. I've been lazy today. I have been out, but just here in the neighborhood doing a little shopping. But I need to get out and get my walking exercise. Weather is warm, partly cloudy. No rain today. You see the cat there in the corner, sleeping in one of her favorite spots. I bought this elephant today. A crazy purchase, I know. It's from India. But you know, I've said before that India was one of my first loves, way back in the day. And elephants also have a special place symbolically. My mother ran off and joined the circus when she was 19, and she rode elephants in the Ringling Brothers and Barlow and Bailey Circus for 2 years. So I've always kind of had an elephant around. There's a photo of my twin brother and I and my mother. I've mentioned before that my mother was an actress. This photo is actually can be found in the United States Library of Congress. I'm not sure why. I think it just represents motherhood in the 1950s. And we were the Beach Nut Baby twins at the time. And she was a spokesperson for the Dr. Spock show. If you remember Dr. Spock, he was a famous baby doctor in the 50s and also active in the anti-Vietnam War movement. Anyway, I have a few very small mementos and photos from my childhood here in Brazil. Brought them with me. Here's another photo from my childhood. My mother, my brother, and I. My mom's holding a baby tiger, and my brother and I are petting it. And there's Mama Tiger. My mother wrote a memoir, a best-selling memoir about her 2 seasons in the circus called I Love You, Honey, But the Season's Over. And this was like a publicity shots for her book. I remember we went to the Ringling Brothers Circus that day in Madison Square Garden in New York City. We lived in Manhattan in those years. Anyway, time to head out the door. Tomorrow is Thursday, which means that it's Thanksgiving up in the United States. Just got a call from a dear friend saying that tomorrow they're having their annual Thanksgiving feast, one that I always attended back in the day when I lived in San Francisco. But I can honestly say I don't really miss it. I mean, it would be nice to be there, but I don't really care about Thanksgiving or Christmas. Christmas here in Salvador, in Brazil, to me at least, always seems a little underwhelming. Now, there's lots and lots of signs of Christmas, lots of Christmas lights and Christmas trees, etc. But what is much bigger, in my experience, is New Year's Eve, which is called Réveillon in Brazil. Réveillon is huge, and it's especially huge here in this neighborhood, my neighborhood, Bahia. Lots of huge fireworks, thousands and thousands and thousands of people on the beach. And that's a big event. It just seems a lot bigger than Christmas. And then of course you've got O Dia dos Reis, King's Day on January 6th, which is when children traditionally get their presents in Latin America and in Catholic countries, predominantly Catholic countries. Then there is the Lavagem de Bonfim. I believe that'll be on January 11th. That's a big, huge event here in Salvador, where hundreds of thousands of people walk from the Pelourinho to the Church of Bonfim. I think it's about a 16-kilometer walk. Always attend that. I love that. And then on February 2nd, it'll be the Festa the Sea Goddess, Candomblé Sea Goddess Iemanjá. You know I love Iemanjá. Of course, I would be attending that. Hundreds of thousands of people in the Rio Vermelho neighborhood. And then, of course, the big, giant event of them all in Brazil, Carnival. I'm not sure when it falls. Usually, sometime in February. I'm not sure the exact week, though. So all of that will be coming up. And very soon, in early December, is the is it called the Festa or Lavagem de what saint is it? It's the festival where you wear a lot of red and white, and it corresponds to the Candomblé goddess Yansá. Santa Barbara. The Festa de Santa Barbara. I love that one too. That's coming up very soon, early December. So a lot of events coming up as we enter the busy summer season. Weather and the temperature are very nice right now. There's a very, very pleasant, cooling breeze coming off the ocean. And I am quite comfortable. I am walking in the direction of the Rio Vermelho neighborhood, but I'm not going to go all the way there today. I've been going there very often recently, and I'm going to turn before that and walk down the hill along another street. From what I read and see on the news and on YouTube programs, is that inflation in the United States is very, very high. I imagine that Thanksgiving dinner for many families in the United States is going to be very expensive tomorrow. The groceries in general are very expensive. Rents are astronomical. It's only one of, but an important motivation for me to live outside of the United States. As I've talked about before, cost of living is quite reasonable here in Brazil. My sole source of income is Social Security, but I live quite comfortably on that. And I'm glad that I don't have to struggle with paying rent and groceries and other bills in the United States in US dollars. The advantage of leaving and moving abroad is the much lower cost of living. Beach volleyball court, would you call it, in front of us. Beach volleyball is very, very popular here in Brazil. I have my apartment to myself until tomorrow evening. Eliamar, my brother-in-law, got sent by his job to deliver a company car to a small city about 8 hours south of here. So he's going to spend the night there and come back tomorrow, Thursday evening. I like having the apartment to myself. Not that it really makes that much of a difference, because Eliamar works so many hours. You know, he leaves the house at 5:30 in the morning when I'm fast asleep, usually, and he gets home around 9 o'clock at night. So in the days that he does work, and then he goes straight to bed, so I barely see him. And then on his days off, he's a very restless person. He's not one to hang around the apartment, so he goes out. So most of the time I have the place to myself, even when he's around. I have a feeling he's going to move back to where he was living, Santo Antonio de Jesus, in about 6 months from now. He needs to stay at his current job for the health insurance. He needs an operation, and so he's waiting to get the operation, And then he says he may well move back to Santo Antonio de Jesus, where his wife lives, his kids live. He loves Salvador. He's from Salvador, but you know, he's lived in Santo Antonio for, oh, it's decades now. And the cost of living out there is much, much, much cheaper. On his income, it's very expensive for him here in Salvador. Even though I pay all the rent, it's still expensive for him here. So it looks like maybe in 6 months from now, I will permanently have the apartment to myself, which I'm going to enjoy. Have any of you ever heard of couch surfing? I'm thinking of becoming a couch surfing host. That's where you allow travelers to stay in your apartment for free. And it's a way of meeting people from all over the world, practicing your languages, having interesting conversations about their your travels. They'll cook a meal for you, etc. You can show them around the city if you want, and you get to pick and choose. You don't have to, just not anybody. You see their profiles and decide who you would like to come stay with you. So I'm thinking of becoming a couch surfer host if Eliamar moves out. And that way I'll have a stream of visitors, but I, of course, will control how often, who and how often. Back in the day, when I was young and traveling the world, there was no such thing as couch surfing. Well, there was no internet back in that day. But so I never used couch surfing as a guest. I'm not sure I would have anyway. I'm kind of shy. And also, you know, I never really liked hostels either. I remember my first big trip to Europe, back when I was 20. I stayed in a couple of hostels and I didn't like it. And I never stayed in one again. And I didn't find them that much cheaper than just inexpensive accommodations, especially back in the mid-70s, 1970s, when I first started traveling the world. You know, even Europe was incredibly cheap and inexpensive. But I do understand why young people, especially who have limited funds, would appreciate and enjoy couch surfing. Free accommodations. You could travel the world and not pay anything. You do get reviewed by your host, just like Airbnb, except of course you pay. Airbnb is paid, but you get reviewed, and the host reviews the guests, and the guests review the host. So, you know, you do have an idea of the kind of people that you're allowing into your house, and they have an idea who they're staying with through the recommendations and reviews that other travelers leave and that other hosts leave. So I think it sounds like an interesting experience. This is one of my favorite streets to take a walk on, because you can see the center divide that goes all the way down. This street has both a bike path and a walking path. I'm on the walking path, the other side is the bike path. And there's vegetation, trees, plants down the center. So I like walking down this street. I actually used to live on this street many years ago, at the bottom of the street. And it's a nice neighborhood. Here in Brazil, the news is reporting that ex-President Jair Bolsonaro, who was tried and sentenced to, 27 years of prison for doing the same thing that Trump tried to do. Bolsonaro lost the election in 2024, was it? Or 2022? And he tried to, he attempted a coup. But unlike in the United States, he was tried and he's just been sent to prison. He attempted to take off, he had a bracelet, what are they called? A monitoring bracelet around his ankle to keep track of him. and he tried to take it off, and that was the last straw. They came to his house, arrested him. He was on house arrest, and took him to prison. You know, he'll try to revert it to house arrest, but hopefully a jail cell is in his long-term future. You know, he's not in an ordinary jail cell. I'm sure it's a bit comfier than an ordinary prison cell, but it's a prison cell nonetheless. The news reports from up in the United States keep saying that the mental state, the mental acuity of Trump is deteriorating. He is almost 80 years old, and that he is showing signs of senility, erratic behavior, mood swings. The quality of his language has deteriorated. Inconsistencies, well, that's been obvious. He's just unpredictable, and you know, some people are starting to talk about invoking the 25th Amendment, where a president is deemed incapacitated and removed. So we should all keep our eyes on that development. Of course, J.D. Vance, the vice president, would be no improvement. He's equally awful, so who knows? And Trump has been very, very inconsistent with these tariffs that he's been imposing. What were they calling him? Taco. Trump always chickens out. Because he imposes these heavy tariffs, 50, 100%, and then he turns around and changes his mind. That's happened here in Brazil. He imposed very heavy tariffs on Brazil in retaliation for Brazil not backing down on its imprisonment of ex-President Jair Bolsonaro. But now Trump has changed course. He's removed some of the worst tariffs on Brazil, coffee, beef, etc. Because, you know, all is he doing with these tariffs is punishing the American people. Who ends up paying for it is the United States and the citizens of the United States. So it's another example of his mental decline. We've reached the bottom of the hill now. The question is, to get a bowl of acai or not get a bowl of acai? My taste buds are screaming yes, but my blood sugar and overall health are screaming no. Which voice shall I listen to? Stop at the supermarket to get some bread. I've got some beet bread made with beets, and there's all sorts of different kinds of delicious fresh bread. This bread is hot. I love bread in Brazil. They do have this kind of bread, but I never see anybody eating it. Everybody buys this kind of bread, and I think it's great. Oh, and I did get some acai, bad boy. Home sweet home. What's the very first thing I do? Turn on the fan. It's the next day, bom dia. It's Thanksgiving. Well, it's Thanksgiving up in the United States. Just a normal day here in Salvador, Bahia, Brazil. Well, not totally normal. I am sick. I don't know if you could tell, and the shot I just took of myself, but in the last 3 days, I have lost 10 pounds. Hard to believe, but true. 10 pounds. I went from 163 pounds to 153 pounds in 10 days. I've been throwing up like crazy. It must be something I ate. You know, it's very hot here this time of year. I must have eaten something that wasn't right. or spoiled or something without knowing it. I feel so weak. Could barely leave the house this morning. I went to the little grocery store across the street and got some few bottles of Gatorade to try to rehydrate myself. Anyway, this too shall pass, but I think this is going to be a day for staying in the house and resting, because I was just up all last night, running to the bathroom to vomit. So I'm going to sign off. Thanks again, all of you, for joining me, for hitting that like button or that subscribe button. I really appreciate it. To those of you in the United States, I wish you all a great Thanksgiving. And to everybody else, I wish you a great day and an great upcoming weekend. And as always, beijo, ciao.